Great. So I guess we'll just start by introducing ourselves. So my name's Chloe. I'm the recruiting coordinator here at the TD Garden.
And I'm Sergio. I'm the senior recruiter here at TD Garden.
So TD Garden is owned by a company called Delaware North. So our business at Delaware North manages and provides food and beverage through concessions, premium dining, entertainment, lodging, retail, and at many large venues around the country. But Sergio and I are focused here in Boston, of course, at the TD Garden and also the Boston Bruins. But if you were to come along with us at the TD Garden, it would open up a lot of doors if you ever want to go into a different sector of hospitality. So at Delaware North, we do sporting events, travel, which would be at Boston Logan Airport and a bunch of airports around the country. Um, Parks, we do a lot of work in national parks through lodging, food and beverage, and different hospitality sectors there. We also do resorts. So we have a new restaurant in Disney World, actually. So a lot of food and beverage throughout different resorts in the country, but that's a big one that people like to work at. We also do it internationally. So we have a few venues in different countries, including England and Australia. So it's an international company. If you ever were to want to explore a different country, if you were a part of Delaware North, that would be an opportunity for you. We do work in the gaming industry around the country, so at different gaming operations. You can work in the food and beverage, the front desk, different hospitality sectors in there. And then we have a partnership with a company called Patina Restaurant Group. So they do a lot of food and beverage throughout the country in their different restaurant sectors. Um, a big one here is Banners. That's right next to the TD Garden. We operate that. And also Hub Hall, which is a new restaurant cafeteria type of place. So they have a lot of different food and beverage options for the guests before games, or if you just want a bite to eat, that's a great place to go if you have different people that like different things. Um, but yeah, so that's a little overview of Delaware North, but we can touch on more the TD Garden right now.
Yeah, so here at TD Garden, we specialize in food and beverage, a lot more on the sports service side of things in the arena. So anything that's arena based. So we do culinary, food and beverage, guest experience, retail, commissary. We also do suites area and our luxury seating area as well. We also hire also for the Boston Bruins team as well. So that could go as far as like internships to as far as being part of the game night staff or promo team for the Boston Bruins. Also, we do some full-time positions as well. That could be whether be a part of our payroll team or we have a bunch of other highlight things. We work with like community relations department. We work with our marketing team, the sales team. So if there's anyone interested in that, we definitely have those positions available. Sometimes in the beginning of the season, not so much like right now since the season had already started, but usually we'd look for folks around early end of summertime to like September to fill those roles for the upcoming season starting. Um, We mostly specialize in hiring for a lot of part-time positions because the arena is only event-based. It's not a Monday through Friday type of normal 9 to 5 job. So the event-based are whenever the Celtics basketball team is playing a game, home game, or the Boston Bruins are playing a home game, as well as special events such as concerts or we have like Disney on Ice or any other special events happening here at TD Garden. So one week you could be working about 4 or 5 events a week to one another week could be like 2 or 3. So it varies. We let everyone know that it is an event-based position. So our busy times are usually from the end of September all the way up until April. like mid-April or so. But it could extend longer if both sporting teams make it to the playoffs and last until May or sometimes June, depending on. Like last season, we had the Celtics make it all the way to the NBA Finals. So we had our staff working all the way up until about mid-June or so. And then towards the summertime, it kind of dies down a bit, so it's less busy. We just have a sprinkle of concerts here and there. So, and then we pick right back up end of August, early September to get hiring needs again for the following upcoming season and fill those positions again.
Yes. So we can start answering some of the guided questions. So that's a little bit about the TD Garden and Delaware North, just a little overview. The first question would be the minimum wage in your company. So a lot of positions vary because some of them get tips. So there's a lower wage because of the tips. But for the minimum wage positions, it's 14.25, which is Massachusetts minimum wage. It is going up to 15 in January, so that'll obviously be changed. But that is it right now. But of course, every position varies in the amount per hour.
And another question is, do we have any remote positions available? Um, most of the positions that we hire for are not remote because it's for the arena. So we would need those persons to be in person and interacting with guests and customers. So mostly all the positions that we hire for are for the arena. So those will all be in-person positions. But there are like for internships, there might be some hybrid roles that you have to come in 2 or 3 days a week and then work 2 days from home, depending on what department that the internship is for. And then there might be some offsite things that you might have to do if it's like a community relations department working with like the community, outside community source organizations or so.
Yes. And so most of our positions are part-time hourly roles. But during the season, it can feel like a full-time position with all the events that we have going on. So it is technically part-time, but depending on how your availability is, it can be a decent amount of hours per week. Some of our staff do have other positions outside the TD Garden. And what's great about here is we have events at night most of the time. So if you wanted to do something else during the day, that's totally fine. And then come here at night, work about a 6 to 8 hour shift a few nights a week. It's a great opportunity for anyone looking for a little extra money or just a fun part-time position. I know I worked here part-time before I went full-time here, and I really did look forward to coming to work because just seeing all the different ways that the TD Garden can put on an event. It's really amazing to see how one night it can be the Bruins and the next night it could be a huge concert. So all the different types of people that we engage with is great. And it really does make for a great part-time position if you are looking for one. We do hire full-time positions hourly as well. They are a little bit more there we have less of them, I would say. We do have more part-time positions, but there are areas that you can grow as well in the part-time position. So if you started as a suite runner or a suite server, you could grow into a suite supervisor. So there are areas that you can grow within the TD Garden, which is great. But yes, we normally do the part-time positions for the event-based.
And I would say some of the key qualifications that we look for in employees is just the flexibility and just being able to communicate and have a great personality and just the willingness to learn and want to be a part of a fast-paced environment. Um, and if you have some experience with customer service, that's great. You don't need much experience in most of the roles, but if you have that, that's a leg up over other things. So we also just look for a positive attitude. We look for most of our jobs are we only hire from 18 and up. So just because we have a lot of codes and guidelines, especially with alcohol being in the building, certain things like that only 21-year-old people can 21 and above can only pour the drinks or so. Um, but yeah, if we the qualifications, I feel like it's just a willingness to want to work and learn, and if you're willing to want to grow, if this is a passion that you're interested in, like the sports industry or hospitality as well as a whole, this would be a great way to get your foot in the door, especially not just at TD Garden, but with the Delaware North Company as well. And if you can continue to grow with TD Garden, or you can continue to grow with the company as well, because we do staff all over the country at other sporting events, arenas such as like MetLife Stadium or Petco Park out in San Diego. So if you were ever thinking about a career change or travel, moving to a different state, it would be an easy transfer process that we could reach out to another team member at another stadium, and they could see your track, see how long you've been with the company, and they would interview you, and we can easily make that internal growth process happen that way as well. So that way you're still with the company and you're still building those years up with the company. I've been with this company for about a year now, um, but it opens doors whether or not you do like working in the sports service industry, or maybe you get tired of it and you want to switch into travel and working in airports and retail or food and beverage in the airports industry. We have all the connections to make those networking opportunities for you to happen, so that we can introduce you to the right people, and then hopefully get you interviews. And hopefully, if you choose to move on into that career path, we can get you an offer letter to switch over into that team or that subdivision of Delaware North. So that way, you're not just leaving the company; you're still with the company, just in a different subsidiary of it.
Mhm. Definitely. Yeah, and we're happy to ever make those calls or set up those meetings for anyone that's interested. It really just does take like one email or call for that to happen. So definitely happy to help with that. Um, as for our hiring process, so we do hold some hiring events, which I know that you guys have been gracious enough to help us advertise. And we also do interviews in person, over the phone, or video. We're happy to make accommodations for people if they are unable to do in-person interviews. So that's where it starts. If you do get the position, you then have about a week and a half to a 2 week new hire process. And once you complete all the steps, your manager will reach out with a start date, and uniform, and just the process in general. The training process is a little bit different than some companies. So it's kind of on the job training, which I think is great, because you get to shadow or have someone there helping you learn the ropes. And then once you're comfortable enough, that's when you'll be on your own working in whatever department that you have chosen to be in. But everyone's there to guide you. I know when I started, it was a very smooth process, and it was actually really fun to see how everything works within TD Garden, and start to finish the event. So the hiring process is about a week and a half to 2 weeks. Once you get into the building, you also have about a week or two of training on the job, paid. And then once you're comfortable enough, your manager will have you working on your own.
Yeah, and as far as room for growth, there's definitely room for growth. As to what Chloe said earlier, in any position that you apply or get within TD Garden, I could speak on Chloe's behalf. She's been with the company for about 2 years or so. She started as a guest experience ambassador in the arena, a part-time, and then she worked there for about 6 or 7 months, and then heard through the grapevine about the recruiting coordinator position here at TD Garden, and her manager put her in contact with the HR team, and she was able to get an interview set up, and they really enjoyed her personality, and here she is now. So we have her a part of the team. So there's definitely room for growth within the company. I would say stay in the role that you are for about 6 months or so. And then if it's not the right fit for you, then I would branch out and see other opportunities within the arena that you're more interested in, more passionate about, and have those conversations as well with managers and supervisors to let them know that this is what you're interested, and they could connect you to those certain hiring managers, those supervisors for those roles, and let them know. And they can put in a good word for you, say how well you are as an employee, if you're reliable or not, and they could set you up with an interview and then potentially have a new job offer to work in a new position within the arena. Or if it's full time, you have that connection as well to find a full time. If you're more looking for a full time opportunity or anything like that, those managers can connect you to those people. And it's great working here too because you meet so many different people, not just within the TD Garden or Delaware North or Boston Bruins, even guests coming in. You never know who that person could be, that they could be a part of like a Fortune 500 company, that maybe like you're going to school for finance or you're going to school for business or anything. Like you can establish that relationship with them if you meet them time and time again. If they're like a season ticket holder, you can say, hey, this is what I'm interested in, have those conversations and network with them. So if an opportunity comes up, they could think of you or anything like that.
Mhm. Definitely. Some of the benefits that we offer, we don't have benefits for part-time positions, but some of the benefits with the job is working in the TD Garden is just such great energy. It's fun to come to work. Everyone that you work with is happy to be here and excited to be here. And there's never a boring shift, I promise. There's always fun events happening, and you get to experience it with the guests as well. Although you would be working, you still get that experience with every event that you go to. I know when I worked the events, I would never like think I would go to like, let's say like a WWE event. But I got to experience it and I got to see how what everything goes into those type of events. So I think that's a great benefit to being a part of the TD Garden is just those experiences that you might not have gotten if you didn't work there. Another benefit is, of course, as we've touched on a bunch of times, is the networking that you can do within the TD Garden. Um, as much as you give, you will get back, whether it be with your manager, whether it be with Sergio and I looking for different positions. It's really just getting your foot in the door, I think, is a great opportunity for growth. And as much as you put in, you'll definitely get back. For the full-time hourly roles, you would get benefits such as the 401k and like healthcare, but those, of course, aren't as prevalent as the part-time positions. They're not we don't have as many of them. But yeah.
We do not offer paid employee trainings, but we do have like the on-the-job training, so where you do get paid. Just because I think um, there's no time or like it would be better to train you while an event is happening, so you can get that experience of the fast-paced environment, and you can see if it's a great fit for you. Because some people will be excited to come in, but then they see how fast and how wild and crazy it could be. And some people that doesn't sit well with them, or some people just they can't handle it. And that's okay. I mean, but it's good for you to experience it while you're on the job and you're seeing like a live event in person and how it orchestrates and how you have to prepare and how you have to prep and how you greet people and make sure everyone's in a certain area. All the food and beverage, all the retail stuff is put out at a certain time before the doors open. Um, as opposed to having someone come in and there's no event happening. It wouldn't be the same environment because then you're like, oh, I got this, but then as soon as thousands of people are coming through the door, it's a different story. So definitely, I think the on-the-job training is a great asset to this, so that it lets you know what to expect. And if it's something that you're not comfortable with, you can definitely let the managers know, and then they can work with you. Or if you feel like it's not a fit for you, that's okay as well. We could probably find something else that's less intense than being in that arena environment. You could work behind the scenes in the back of house or anything like that. Like the front of house, it can get a little scary or something when people are just barging in trying to get some food or trying to get some certs or anything like that. But we definitely do that. We do development courses, I believe, every year or so or something. You have to do some trainings and stuff, but that's all provided like online. And I think you do get paid for it. Um, But other than that, there's no other trainings or anything that we do besides the on-the-job training when you first start, and then they won't leave you out to dry. It's when you're comfortable and you feel like you can do things on your own is when they'll let you just go with the flow and everything. If you're comfortable with that, if you get it right away, that's great. If it takes you a little bit longer than others, that's fine as well. So that we would never leave you out high and dry to just figure things out. None of the managers are like that. They like to feel it until you're 100% comfortable in the role is when they'll let you fly on your own.
Yeah, and each new season, there's training for each department. So your manager would have you come in on a dark day. So that means like when there's not an event, and give you updates on any new protocols for the garden or just reviewing, the expectations of everyone. So that's every new season. You'll be able to get a rundown of all the expectations and any new things that you need to be aware of. As for the English level requirements for positions, I would say front facing, you would need to be proficient in English. But as a back of house, we have a bunch of culinary opportunities, which would not require as much English. So you could just know basic terms. And we also have cooks that speak Spanish in the back of the kitchen. So definitely opportunities, whether you know English or not. We can find the right position for you here at the Tea Garden.
And as far as providing visa sponsorships, we currently do not provide it. Um, but I think it's something that we're working on possibly for the near future. But currently, right now, that's not a possibility for us just because we are a big company, nationwide company. So they would have to go through our whole approval process to get approved for that. Um, but we do work with a J1 student program overseas to have um, students come and work at TD Garden during their summer break, which is our winter break as well over here. So we have a partnership with a student so that J1 students can come over and work for about 3 to 4 months during the winter time.
Yep. For dress code for different positions here at the TD Garden, of course, it varies. So ushers would have a different dress code than guest experience or club hosts. But it is all provided for you what you're supposed to be wearing. So, of course, on your first day, before you come in, they'll let you know what you should be wearing, or if they are going to provide a uniform for you. A lot of positions do provide uniforms. I would say, if not all of them, most of them do. So you don't have to worry about not knowing what you're going to be wearing. Your manager will lay it out for you and like ask for your sizing prior to you coming in for your first shift. And normally you would just wear like black pants with it, whatever coat or shirt they give you, and just comfortable shoes. I know when I worked there, they actually provided shoes for us, which was great. We have a sponsorship with New Balance, so it was New Balance shoes. So they were super nice, comfortable, and easy to walk around in because you have to be on your feet for a lot of these jobs. So they make sure that you're comfortable and know what you're going to be doing for the rest of the night.
Um, for the salary increase per year, we do um, merit increases every year. Typically, I would say between 2 to 5%, depending on the department. Um, and we also like um, try to coexist with what's going on in the city, like a cost of living and stuff like that, to make all the positions affordable for everyone to live off of these wages as well.
Mhm. Definitely. So for shifts that we have available, as we've said, it's event based. So mostly from the hours of like 4 to 5 is when you would come in, depending on your position. Some culinary positions, you can have a morning shift to prep for the night. But most positions come around 4 to 5 p.m. and then you get out around 10 to 10:30 p.m. So it is about a 6 to 7 hour shift, depending on your position. But it is mostly night shift that you would be coming in.
And the typical working environment would be it's definitely loud, noisy, could potentially be smoky, just if it's a concert or so, and they have like pyro or any smoke senses going off or anything like that. It's definitely fast paced if it's during a game. Um, a lot of people like to get their food and go back to their seat quickly. There's a lot of people in the common areas, like on the loge area or balcony area, that you'll see. It's just and you have a lot of guests like coming in for the first time or coming in for a thousandth time, like and it's thousands of people. I think we can hold about like 19,000 for basketball and about 17,850 for hockey. So it's a lot of people that are in the building coming all in at once, especially when those doors open. So if you're not a big crowd person or you don't like a lot of noise or sound or pyro, like fireworks or anything like that, this may not be for you. But if you do, then that's awesome. Like if you're into fast paced, moving quickly, standing on your feet all day, mostly and just constantly moving around and helping people, then this would be a great job for you. um, and it's definitely like nothing beats being in there when there's an event happening. It's like a different atmosphere in the environment that I don't know, you just get chills every time, like it's a game or something, like just the passion and you seeing the guests get so excited and it makes the team get excited. It's just on a different Richter scale level, like, and it's exciting. Every day, every is different. You could be in one area one day, another area another game, so you're not always in that same area all the time. They like to move you around so you can get familiar with the arena, so you're not just at one station your whole entire job shift or position that you're in. So they definitely want you to be well rounded with the arena so you can see different areas and different aspects of it as well.
Definitely. So ways that our organization has gotten involved in the community in Boston. So we actually have a community relations. We have a department here for the Bruins and the TD Garden. So they work with different organizations such as Best Buddies and the Special Olympics. So they do a lot of work with them. Also, different parts of the community, the Bruins players and Blades are mascot will actually go and go to like one of their practices for hockey or just have an event in the community to get kids and families out there to just connect with them. So they do a lot within the Boston area. Um, Something that we do within recruiting is an example is we're having a high school come tour the TD Garden. The Madison Park High School, located in Roxbury, is coming next week to come for a tour. So that's an example of how we're trying to broaden our horizons within the Boston area and showing younger generations that, this is somewhere that you can work once you turn 18 and grow within our company from there. Because there's so many opportunities just going forward. And just knowing and seeing what goes on within the TD Garden kind of like puts you in a perspective of, okay, where can I go if I do start here? Like, let's say in guest service, like you can move up within the company because you're exposed to the different departments. Some people, when you come for an event, you kind of don't see everything that goes into it. So being a part of the organization, you really get a chance to learn and watch what goes into it. Um, but yeah, so we do a lot within the community, whether it be with the Bruins or the TD Garden. I know in the past during Thanksgiving time, due to COVID, we haven't done it for a few years, but they actually have a Thanksgiving feast on the arena floor. And we have people from the community come in and us, the employees here, actually would serve them. So that was a huge event that we did here. Of course, again, during COVID, that got a little hard because of everything. So we're trying to get that back up. So a lot of things did get cut off during COVID just for obvious reasons. So that's something that we're also starting to get back into is how can we get back into the community and get involved in person? Because I think it really does make a difference being in person with people.
Yeah, and I would say like the challenges that we had in our organization, I would say definitely like not just our organization, like all of food and beverage was when the pandemic hit. It was definitely hard on us because the arena shut down. There was no jobs available for anybody. And then once things got better, there were so many restrictions, so we couldn't hire that many people. We could only have a certain amount of people in the arena, like for capacity wise. A lot of the stations weren't open. Um, you had to wear the mask mandate. A lot of people didn't want to get vaccinated, so we were losing out on people, on potential candidates from that as well. And it wasn't until I would say earlier March this year when the ban was lifted. You didn't need to have the vaccination requirement to enter the building. You didn't need to wear a mask anymore. It made people want to come back to work. And towards, and I think this season right now that just started and back in end of September, early October, is the first time that the whole arena has been open since they made these changes to the TD Garden and expanded with more seating, luxury areas that haven't weren't being able to be used because we finished like end of 2019, so early 2020, nothing was able to be used. So this is the first time since 2019 that the entire arena is fully staffed and fully open 100% post COVID. So we overcame that by just having multiple hiring events, reaching out to the community, Chloe reaching out to you guys and other organizations as well to get our name back out there. We're looking for people to grow in with the company. Um, and I mean, we still have a couple challenges. We're still looking to fill some roles now still, but I mean, that's every company. And we're just overcoming by just working with organizations like you guys to like reach out to communities or surrounding communities around the TD Garden area to get people to, it's an easy transit ride to get into work from taking the MBTA. It's not too far and it's reliable and there's a flexibility with the company that you don't need to work every event. You can pick the events that you want to work. You pick your schedule as long as you meet like a minimum requirements of what the hiring manager is asking you to work. Um, and they give you the event schedule a month in advance, so you know how to plan accordingly. Um, and then I think this is just a great company to work for. So I highly encourage if you are definitely interested to just apply or reach out to us and we can get things rolling from there as far as like setting up interviews or if there's any other questions that you might have for us that we didn't answer. Yeah, just reach out to us and let us know.
Yeah.
Perfect. No, that was perfect. You both answered a lot of, well, you answered all of the questions that we did have in mind. I am going to open up the floor in case I know we have Bill online. So Bill, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask as well. I do have a couple of follow-up questions and clarifications that I just wanted to ask for myself. But Bill, if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask right now. And to give you just a little bit more time in case you are thinking about possible questions, I will ask one of my follow-up questions. I know you both mentioned that there is room for growth, and I know Chloe, you gave your example that you've been working at TD for about 2 years, and so you did grow within the company in 2 years. But in terms of like, for example, as you mentioned, if we have somebody who's maybe there for 6 months, they really want something else. Is it because I've had some participants go through this? So for example, they're in a position, but then their manager doesn't have somebody to replace them yet, so they put them on hold. Does that happen with I don't know, TD Garden, because if, for example, the individual wants to definitely move up, but they're telling him, well, I don't have someone to replace you yet, so you can't. I don't know, thoughts, comments on.
Well, we haven't actually really seen that, especially in the part-time positions, because there are, I would say in that situation, maybe it was because there was only one person in that position. And then if they were trying to grow, like they would have to fill that one position. But for us, like for example, if I was like an usher and I want to be a suite supervisor, there's so many other ushers that you wouldn't get held back by wanting to interview and take a position in a higher level because you have those coworkers that can take your shifts. So that's also a great um, thing about the TD Garden is they're super flexible and they have other people in the positions that you might be in. So that would never affect you wanting to grow in the part-time positions, especially. For full-time, I would say that's maybe where you would see that more if they had to backfill your position. It might take a little bit longer, but for part-time, you're always able to interview if you're qualified and meet with that hiring manager if it's someone different or have that conversation with your current manager.
Okay, so it is dependent on like which position then.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I would say in part-time, it's easier to have those conversations with your manager or with us about moving to a different position.
Okay. And in terms of applying online, is there a link that you are able to provide, maybe in the chat, that we can refer our participants to?
Yes, let me get that.
Because in terms of let's say like they apply, how quickly do they hear back, or and how quickly would it or would they be able to start in the position that they're in?
So response rate, usually between like 48 to 72 hours, they start to hear from someone. Um, as far as starting, it all depends on how quick the candidate fills out the employment forms that we send over to them. So typically on average, it could be like uh, 1.5 to 2 weeks, but we've seen sometimes it lasts 2 to 3 weeks if some people aren't like well with technology or using their phone or email well. So we have them come in and we try to help them out as well and fill out the paperwork with them together.
Yeah, for qualified candidates, if we see them apply, we'll reach out immediately, even if we don't have their availability yet. Just getting that connection, I think, is important to say, hey, like, I know you're interested, we're interested too. What's your availability? And I'll take it back to the hiring manager. So we are pretty responsive within, I would say, 1 to 2 days. If they're a qualified candidate, they'll hear back if they apply on our website.
Sorry, I have to answer your question. No, that helps a lot, because I know that I mean, in my participants specifically, I would be helping them with the application process. But it's good to know that you are also willing to provide that assistance for the people who may need that. And actually, you mentioned candidates that are good candidates for the position. So I actually wanted to know what are some positives and negatives for examples that you might have of an interview. For example, let's say you were interviewing somebody and there was just something that stood out that you thought was great, but then in another situation you thought it was not.
So we don't interview the candidates normally, but I would say something that, so the hiring manager would interview them. But I would say something that normally stands out to the hiring managers is I would say good communication with the candidate. Having a little bit of prior experience is always great, or having said like, I'm willing to learn, even if I don't have experience. I think that's something great that the hiring managers like to hear. Because of course, if you're applying for like an usher position, you've never worked at a different event space, you're not going to have that experience. But if you're willing to learn and you're a great person and you're excited on during the interview, that really shows a hiring manager that, you know, these people are ready to work, they want to work here, and they're ready to learn even if they don't have that prior experience. Because we really do look for just great people that are willing to come in and learn on the job, learn from their manager or their other associates, and kind of just go with like their prior experience, bringing that in. Maybe they can teach other people like different skills that they wouldn't think they needed for the position. So just like explaining your past experience and what your strengths are, and correlating it back to the position within if you read the job description, you're like, I know you said this in the job description, this is how I can bring my strength into this part of the job. So kind of just doing your research about the actual position you're applying for and bringing in your strengths during the interview, I think would be a great skill that candidates can bring.
Okay, perfect. We definitely work on that with our participants. It's actually part of the program about preparing for an interview, what to do before, during, and after. It's good to hear that feedback from you. I do have a couple more follow-up questions, but I know that Bill sent a message on our group chat, so let me just go ahead and read that.
Sure.
It says, as a host of event, how are event requirements or rider requirements performer criteria handled by Delaware North? Seems it could be a little confusing, could be a very unique setting, although live events have been happening.
So as for event requirements, it's pretty standard for the Bruins and Celtics just because we have had those events in the past. But for special events, a lot of times those performers or artists will bring their own people with them to set up, just because it's so unique to them. But we obviously have staff on site. We work with unions that bring in stagehands and different workers that are able to assist with the performers' needs. So we normally have the union bring in those workers, so we don't necessarily hire for that. We normally just do actual event. Once it's all set up, we're hiring for the people to work the events. So it's a little bit different, and I can see how that would be confusing from your perspective, Bill. But it's more positions working the events, working with the guests, rather than kind of the backstage end of it. So we do more front facing during the events.
Great, thank you. Good question, Bill. If you have another one, you can also throw it in the chat. I did want to do a follow-up question on like the positives and negatives of interviews, and I can take a look at the website and see, but in terms of resumes, for example, if somebody just graduated from high school, I don't think that you would expect them to have a huge resume, but I guess like what are some key points that if they do have a little bit of experience, or what are the top things that you really look for? And I know that it would depend on the position, but what are like some key components that you can think of?
So yeah, like if someone's coming in straight out of high school with little to no experience, and I see them applying for like a supervisor position, I'm gonna obviously not review them, but I'm also gonna see what experience they have and see what they're better fit for. And I will invite them to apply to those different positions where little to no experience is needed. And it's just a way to get their more experience working in this environment. And then they can build that experience up. And whether or not within like 6 months, 9 months, or a year or so, they have that year of experience behind their back. And then if they wanted to move into a different department within the arena, they already know how the arena is, how to work around the arena, where things are in the arena, the different floors, the different sections, stuff like. They have that experience and have that mindset of okay, I can work here and I can work with these. I've been working with these guests for so long, for a whole season, so I know the ins and outs. Now I feel like I'm comfortable now. I feel like I can progress in a role and apply to this position now. And those conversations we do have with them as well. We see that, and like, because there's a bunch of people that apply for like 5 different positions, and they're all different type of positions too. So we like to pick up the phone and call, and we say, hey, we see you apply to a certain amount of different positions. Is there any one that interests you more? Or I feel like this one is a better fit for you. And we try to explain the job to them and tell them the job duties and the responsibilities and try to engage with them more if that's something that they're interested in. And if they are, we will eliminate them from the others and then we'll set up an interview with the hiring manager and go from there.
Yeah, I would say, like Sergio said, applying to an entry level job if you are out of high school is a great get to get your foot in the door is the best way because there aren't as many requirements. We do have like screening questions that have like certain requirements, like do you accept like this wage or are you okay with not being on your feet for 8 hours, like those type of questions. So as long as they answer those correctly, we will reach out to them. Another thing that I was thinking about is if students have like any courses or in school or like through your program or any other programs that they have experience in, definitely like throw that on your resume too. It can't hurt as long as it's obviously like relevant to the position. I think that's a great way to kind of put a little bit more on your resume is it doesn't have to be a job experience per se, but I went through this course and this is the skills that I learned that I can put into the position that I'm applying for. So I know it's hard if you've never had a job to try to get a job, but just kind of like thinking outside the box of what experience have I had and how can it correlate into the position I'm applying for will stick out even if they are right out of high school.
That's good. I'm sure that's gonna make them feel very hopeful. That's great.
Yes.
I did have a question because you mentioned as long as they answer the questions correctly. So do you mean like if, for example, someone were to say they want a pay rate to be higher, that would not be like this, like you wouldn't be able to discuss that further, or just kind of like, would you say, well, no, they don't want this pay, like I won't call them? Like, how would you approach it if somebody said like no or to that question?
So sorry, I should have further explained. So if you answer the screening questions correctly, that means that to us, what we see is, okay, these people accept all of these requirements for the position, so we're going to reach out. Let's say if someone applied for the usher position and they said no to the rate of pay, we would refer them, we can email them a different position that has a higher rate because some of them are minimum wage and some of them are a higher wage. So what I would do is I would submit them to a different job that has a different pay rate. And that way I can reach out to them and say, hi, I just sent you a different job posting that has a higher rate. And it would have the link to that job. So we don't just defer them because of the no. We try to find a different position that we can invite them to apply for.
Okay, very good. And then I did want to ask also about, sorry, let me just also give moments because I have a lot of questions. Let's see if maybe Bill has added anything, or and I know Renee's in the background, so I'm sorry, can you hear that noise? Okay, great. It's very loud. It's very loud on my side. Okay, they're literally drilling downstairs. Okay, okay, so the other question I had was about just like a clarification question that you talked about benefits. I know you mentioned 401k and healthcare, but I wasn't sure, did you mean that it's only for like full-timers or only some full-timers or also part-timers? I just wanted a clarification on that.
Yeah, so that's only for full-time employees. If you're a full-time hourly employee, you would be eligible for benefits. I believe all full-time hourly employees get benefits. but if you're a part-time employee, you don't get like those normal benefits of like healthcare and 401k.
Do you get anything as a part-timer? I know some companies do like a discounted T pass. Is there anything like that for a part-time employee?
I don't believe so. I don't think we do the discounted T pass.
Okay. And then my next question was about the managers, because just like also a clarification. So do they go first through you and then to the managers, or do you just sort out the applications and then the managers do the actual interviewing?
So we reach out first to the candidates and we schedule the interviews with the hiring managers, but we're not on the interviews. So the hiring manager directly interviews the candidate.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Um,
we're sourcing the candidates and we're looking at their qualifications, looking at their resume before we even send them over to the hiring manager. So we're looking for the good fits for them. And then we'll reach out to the candidate and say, when is your availability? We'd like to interview you for this specific position. And we line it up with the hiring manager's availability. And then that's how they set up and meet. And if the hiring manager um, likes the candidate, then they'll reach back out to us and let us know, send them the offer. And then that's when we reach back out to them and say, hey, congratulations, the hiring manager wants to offer you the position for such and such. And then we explain the next steps that will happen in that process.
good to know. And I also wanted to ask you about the vaccinations, because you did mention that during the pandemic, that was like a problem that you had.
Mhm.
Currently, I'm sorry.
Currently,
So loud. Currently, do you require all three, like including the booster?
We don't require any anymore.
Okay,
mhm.
good, because
yeah, it was
mhm,
Yeah,
good.
it was one of like in the past, it was one of the requirements, so we had to make it as a screening question. So it was anybody that answered it, know that they weren't vaccinated or weren't planning on getting vaccinated, we automatically wouldn't move forward with them because it was a requirement at the time. So that's how we were losing a lot of candidates before. But now the state isn't requiring it anymore, so we don't require it as well.
Okay, that's good to know. Yes, because some participants, due to just like personal
Mhm.
reasons, also health reasons, are unable to really get the booster. But then the companies say you can only work if you have a booster. So then
Mhm.
that like it doesn't allow them to be able to move forward with like that
Yeah.
position. So I did want to ask
Mhm.
that. And the last question that I had as a follow-up was, currently, are there any specific, or like what are the top, let's say top three position areas that you're looking for? Because my participant caseload and also my colleagues is diverse, so we don't all just fit in like one specific area. So that's why I wanted to say like maybe like the top three or top four that you are currently actively looking for.
Yes, I would definitely say our culinary department is in dire need of help. We need lots of cooks, prep cooks, line cooks, dishwashers, expediters. Um, and then I would say a close second would be our concessions teams.
Yeah.
We're looking for concession stand attendants, concession supervisors, and concession cooks. Those are like our top two. The others I would say are pretty steady so far.
I would I would also say the rafters, they're looking
Oh,
the premium club in the suite area, they're looking for supervisors and porters. And also the rafters are looking for supervisors and porters. Those are part-time positions during the events. But those opportunities in those suite areas, you can like get your foot in the door there, which is great. It's a great environment to be around. You get to meet a lot of great people. We're also looking for people in the restaurant as well. So a restaurant spare, if anyone has busser experience, server experience, bartender experience, that's a great foot in the door because the restaurants within the TD Garden get a lot of action during the game and during the different events. And you get high level experience in those premium club restaurants that maybe you wouldn't be able to get necessarily at a restaurant without a lot of experience. You can come in as a spare and then become a server within a few months. So it's a great foot in the door to get that high level experience in those premium parts of the TD Garden.
Great, perfect. So culinary, concession, and also rounders. Awesome, thank you. I noted that down. Very important. And then one of the other questions I did have, I don't know if you mentioned this, you really have provided a lot of information and it's really great. I've noted all of it down. I don't ever want to forget, and it's recorded, so that's good. I just want to know, are you Corey friendly?
We are actually in the process. Our manager is working on getting that program here at the TD Garden because I think it's a great way to give people, you know, a second chance that might not have opportunities other places. So that is in the works. It's not currently in the works here, but our manager has brought up in a few meetings recently that they are in they're taking steps to have that incorporated into a lot of different arenas around the country, including the TD Garden. So I can update you once I have more information regarding it. And I can reach out to my manager after this and send you an email about where we are in the process, just so you guys are aware. And we can go from there. But yes, it is in the works. It's just not currently available right now.
Okay, so both the visa and also the Corey is in progress. And in progress is good. In progress means that there is a chance of it being approved. So that's good. That's good to know. I am gonna send my email. I think you have it from the email thread, but just so you can have it ready here. I'll send it right now.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. Okay, so those were the questions that I had for myself. And then just I guess for both of you individually, on a more personal note, how do you feel working for TD Garden? Because I feel like we can get and I say this too because I do career coaching, so we can get really focused in our job and then, you know, forget like, well, how do I feel too? So how do you both feel working for TD and your experience and in your position?
Yeah, I can go first. I mean, personally, like looking back, like last year at this time, I was in a job where I didn't really love it, and I had TD Garden as a part-time job, and that's what I looked forward to. Like, I know it sounds cliche, but I really love working here, and I love the people that we work with. I think we have great people that work here, and I think we have passionate people that work here that want to see you grow. And I felt nothing but support ever since I started here, whether it be part-time or full-time, both positions, I felt fully supported, fully happy in my role, and excited to see the different events that they put on and see how we're going to grow as an organization because it's constantly growing. Delaware North continues to operate different places around the country, and just being able to say I work for an international hospitality company where if I want to, let's say, move to England, I could have different connections there that I would never even dream of having. So it's really amazing to be a part of an organization where really the sky is the limit. It's the amount that you put in that you will get back. And just doing research about the different opportunities that we have. That's what I did. I was just constantly like looking online, seeing what opportunities were there, and just getting my foot in the door really did make a difference rather than like being in like outside applying for a full-time position. I would say being a part-time employee definitely helped me get those connections. So I really enjoy it. I really am proud of where I have come because of Delaware North. So I have nothing but great things to say about the company.
Yeah, I really enjoy it as well. I just started back in January. And at first I didn't know what Delaware North was. I just knew TD Garden. So when I signed up, I was like, oh yeah, working for TD Garden. But then I found out more about the actual company itself. And since I started, I've been helping out other coworkers, other recruiters on my team, individually. Like I they I flew out to San Diego to help assist with a big hiring event out there at Petco Park. I flew out to New York City to help for their hiring event for MetLife Stadium. Um, so there's opportunities to like visit these other places, these big arenas, these big stadiums, and see other people and see how their process is working and try to incorporate that here back in Boston, or give what we're doing over here and take some over there, just so we can all like work off of each other and see the knowledge of how they interact with people, how they set up hiring events, how they reach out to candidates, how they network and work with organizations in the same way here. And then we bring that over to them in New York City or San Diego, or I can take back what I learned from them by being in those individual cities those times, and bring that back here and work our way to network and make it better here for our. And I think we've done a good job this season now over the summer, reaching out to all these organizations, you one of them, and working with like the Boston Public Library as well. Just reaching out to these organizations and having the name out there more. TD Garden is more than just TD Garden; it's actually Delaware North, and not just working in sports service. You can work in the travel hospitality industry, working in major airports, or with working in gaming, working in casinos. I've been in hospitality for about going on 4 years now. Um, and I before then I was working in healthcare for about 11 years. So I just got tired of working in the healthcare system, like being around sick people all the time. It was kind of depressing. I mean, although I enjoyed my work there, but it was like I wanted to be in a fun environment, making people happy, interacting with people, engaging with them, seeing what their interests are and passionate about. And that's where I got into HR, and that's where I wanted to be in the hospitality industry, just being around that fast-paced environment. I just felt like everything was kind of crumbled, and like the medical setting or whatever, it was like too serious. And at least here, like people smiling, people having a good time, people excited to be at work, and dealing with those individual people, and then just working their way to network and be better. So that's what my passion of being here at TD Garden. I like it so far. I got the opportunity to travel to places I never thought I would travel to. Even being a part of like here and working with people, being back in the office again, as opposed to working from home remotely, and just seeing faces and interacting and networking with people, putting a face to the name than seeing them before. So I definitely enjoy it.
Wow, that's amazing. You both expressed with a lot of passion. So without even saying it, you expressed it, which is great proof.
Also, with the Celtics going to the NBA Finals, my first year working here, that was exciting too. So I was like,
Oh,
okay.
very nice. Yeah, no, and I actually totally understand what you said about the health field. I worked, I think, starting right off of high school, I've been working in the health field. And a little side note, eventually aiming for, speech therapy. So yeah, the health field definitely carries a big weight. So it is nice to know that there are positions that carry a similar type of weight, but in a more livelier way.
Yeah.
So it's good to know. Very good. Okay, so any last minute questions? We do have a little bit more time left, so I can open up the floor again. I don't know if you have any questions, or if Renee, you would like to add something as well.
Now it's taken the past 3 minutes to figure out how to bring myself back from that once. I'm like, what happened? No, this was great. This was great. And I'm thinking, oh, I would love this, but me and standing, not a good. planned. But I like the fact that people know ahead of time. And so there are no surprises. And I'm not one for a whole lot of noise. Music noise, yes. Screaming noise, no. And big crowds. So yeah, I'm just gonna have to, buy a ticket now and again. But other than that, this is awesome. Thank you so much for being willing to come and record with us, so we can put you on the website, and so many people can hear about this and know what the positions are, and then be able to apply with knowledge, right? Because nobody wants to waste their time and be like, what do you mean I have to stand on my feet? Well, yeah, you do. But it's just like, and we can have the coaches say, if you're interested, watch the video and then come back and tell me, are you still interested? So it's a really great value add, and I hope it helps us connect people with you guys. So thank you for coming. This was great.
Of course.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. You guys have been such a help getting our name back out there to the community. We really want to get back to our roots, which is the Boston area, the surrounding areas, Somerville, Medford, Roxbury. So we've been really trying to get back out there, and we are so thankful to be partnered with you guys.
Yeah, and you're doing a great job, because I'll be honest, every time I think of TD Garden, I think, oh, sports. So it's really good. It is really good what you are doing and reaching out and being involved in the community. So it's gonna go a long way. So kudos to you both. Well, if we don't have any other remaining questions, we can go ahead and finalize the meeting. And once again, thank you so much, Chloe and Sergio. Thank you so much for your time. And we'll stay in touch about future participants applying to your position.
Yes, for sure. Feel free to email me, give out my email for any participants that are interested, Sergio and I's contact information. And yeah, we are happy to have those conversations. If someone doesn't know exactly where they want to be, we're happy to jump on a call with them and further discuss their interests to see where they would be a best fit.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much. And I'll stop the recording once we each step out.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Bye.